January 19th, 1944, London, England. Rain taps against the windows of a dimly lit office near Grosvenor Square. Cigarette smoke hangs thick in the air as Major Brian Montgomery of British Military Intelligence leans over a map of northern France. Pins dot the coastline. Red strings trace imagined invasion routes. Somewhere in the city, engines rumble as American convoys move through the night, their headlights hooded, their destinations deliberately obscured. Across the Channel, in Berlin, Adolf Hitler is already convinced he knows where the blow will fall. At the center of that conviction is a man who, at this moment, commands no troops in combat. A man who appears nowhere near the front. A man many in Germany believe may not even be real anymore. General George Smith, Patton Jr. To Hitler, Patton is not merely a general. He is a threat made flesh. Patton's reputation precedes him like artillery fire. From North Africa to Sicily, German after-action reports describe an American commander who moves faster than expected, strikes harder than planned, and never seems to pause. Even when sidelined after the infamous slapping incident in Sicily in August 1943, Patton's name refuses to fade. Instead, it grows. German intelligence intercepts chatter. Allied newspapers leak photographs. Rumors circulate of Patton inspecting units, giving speeches, appearing at bases across southern England. The reports are contradictory, fragmented, but they all point to the same conclusion. Where Patton goes, the main attack follows. Inside the Oberkommando der Wehrmacht, intelligence officers brief their superiors. One assessment lands on Hitler's desk in early 1944. Patton is the most aggressive and capable field commander the Americans possess. The Führer reads it carefully. He underlines Patton's name. Hitler has studied his enemies obsessively. He respects boldness. He fears speed. And Patton, in his mind, embodies both. So when Allied preparations intensify in Britain, Hitler assumes the obvious. The Allies will strike at Pas de Calais, the shortest route to Germany, and Patton will lead it. He orders the 15th Army to remain in place. Hundreds of thousands of troops. Panzer divisions held in reserve. Coastal batteries reinforced. The Atlantic Wall strengthened where he believes Patton will land. What Hitler does not know is that Patton is being used as a weapon without firing a single shot. February 1944, southeastern England. Patton steps out of a staff car, his ivory-handled pistols gleaming against his uniform. He walks slowly along a line of tanks parked neatly in an open field. The vehicles are real. The soldiers are real. The radios crackle with authentic traffic. But the army itself is an illusion. This is the 1st United States Army Group. On paper, it is the largest Allied force in Britain. In reality, it exists to be seen. Patton knows exactly why he is here. British and American planners have chosen him deliberately. His reputation is bait. German reconnaissance aircraft photograph him constantly. Double agents report his movements with convincing detail. Even the cadence of radio transmissions is carefully scripted to suggest massive troop movements toward Dover. At night, inflatable tanks are positioned under moonlight. Fake landing craft line the coast. Engineers construct dummy camps that look convincing from 20,000 feet. To German analysts poring over grainy photographs, the conclusion is unavoidable. Patton is preparing to invade. You can almost feel the tension building across the Channel. German commanders request permission to redeploy forces. Hitler refuses. He is certain. Normandy, he believes, is a feint. Patton would never waste his talents on a secondary landing. In Berlin, Hitler reportedly scoffs at the idea that lesser generals would lead the main assault. They will send their best, he insists. And in his mind, Patton is the best they have. June 5th, 1944. Pas de Calais. German soldiers man their posts. Artillery crews sleep beside their guns. Officers scan the horizon, waiting for the inevitable armada. Reports stream in from across France, but nothing seems definitive. Then, in the early hours of June 6th, the radio crackles. Paratroopers, Normandy. At first, the reports are dismissed. A diversion. Airborne troops are expendable. The real invasion is coming. Everyone knows that. It has to be coming. At Hitler's headquarters, aides hesitate before waking him. When he finally receives the news, His reaction is cold certainty. He orders no immediate release of the panzer reserves. Normandy is not the main event. Patton has not moved. Hour by hour, the situation worsens. Beaches with unfamiliar names, Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juneau, Sword, erupt in fire and chaos. German units fight desperately, but they are under strength. Requests for reinforcements stack up. Still, Hitler waits. He is waiting for Patton. Somewhere in England, Patton is very much alive, very visible, and very still. He continues to inspect troops. He gives speeches. He allows himself to be seen. And German units pinned down in Normandy begin to realize something is terribly wrong. By the time Hitler finally authorizes the movement of reserves, the window has closed. Allied forces have dug in. The beaches are secured. The deception has worked. Patton never landed at Pas de Calais, but his shadow did. As German commanders scramble to contain the breakout, a quiet panic spreads through their ranks. The general they feared most has not yet appeared, and that realization is far more terrifying than if he had. June 7th, 1944. Wolf's Lair, East Prussia. The air inside the Führerhauptquartier is stale, thick with tension and recycled smoke. Maps cover the walls, their colored pins rearranged again and again by trembling hands. Adolf Hitler stands rigid before a massive chart of northern France, his fingers pressed against Pas de Calais, as reports from Normandy pile up on the table behind him. The invasion has not stopped. Instead, it is growing. Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt, commander-in-chief in the West, argues quietly but firmly. The Allies are pouring men and armor ashore. This is no diversion. Panzer divisions must move now, immediately, before the beachhead solidifies. Hitler does not turn. No, he says flatly. Patton has not shown himself. To Hitler, the absence is proof. Patton's silence means preparation. The real blow is still coming. Across the Channel, German units in Normandy are being chewed apart. Allied naval guns thunder offshore, each salvo shaking the earth. Fighter bombers sweep low, strafing roads and columns, turning daylight movement into a death sentence. German infantry, short on ammunition and fuel, fight stubbornly but blindly. They wait for help that does not come. June 8, 1944. Near Carentan, Normandy. Oberleutnant Karl Weiss crouches in a hedgerow, clutching his MP-40 as artillery bursts scatter dirt and leaves overhead. His unit has been reduced to half strength in less than 48 hours. The Americans keep coming. Fresh troops, endless trucks, tanks rolling off the beaches like machines from a factory floor. Between bombardments, whispers pass down the line. Where are the panzers? Why aren't they counterattacking? Someone mutters Patton's name, half joking, half afraid. Weiss has heard the stories. The American general who never stops moving, who attacks when others pause. But Patton is not here. The Americans pressing them now are methodical, cautious, relentless, not reckless. Something doesn't fit. That doubt gnaws at Weiss and thousands like him. The idea that this might actually be the main invasion begins to creep in, unspoken, but undeniable. June 9th, 1944, London. Patton reads intelligence summaries in silence. His Third Army remains officially inactive, its movements carefully staged. He understands the stakes better than most. Every hour he stays visible in England, German reserves remain frozen. The deception planners urge patience. The ruse is still holding. Patton, famously aggressive, obeys. He knows the irony. The fastest commander in the U.S. Army has become a statue, and it is winning the war. German reconnaissance continues to photograph his headquarters. Radio traffic increases. Double agents report imminent readiness. Everything reinforces Hitler's expectations. But cracks are forming. June 10th, 1944, Berlin. New intelligence reaches the Reich Chancellery. Prisoners captured in Normandy insist this is no feint. Allied casualties are too heavy. Equipment losses too great. No commander would commit this much unless the objective was decisive. Hitler explodes in anger. He accuses his generals of cowardice, of lacking faith, of seeing ghosts where none exist. Still, he hesitates. The 15th Army remains in Pas de Calais. Panzer divisions sit idle, engines cold, crews waiting for orders that never come. The Atlantic Wall stands strong, but against an enemy that is not there. In Normandy, the Allies break out of their initial perimeter. June 12, 1944. Normandy beachhead. Normandy. American engineers work non-stop, unloading vehicles and supplies. Temporary roads are laid across sand. Artificial harbors take shape offshore. The logistical machine is already running at full speed. German commanders watch in disbelief. This is not how a diversion behaves. Panzer Lehr Division finally receives orders to move, but Allied air power shreds its columns before they reach the front. Roads are cratered, bridges destroyed, fuel trucks burn along hedgerows. The delay has been fatal. For the first time, senior German officers begin to voice what was once unthinkable. Patton may never come to Pas de Calais. June 14, 1944. Wolf's Lair. Hitler paces. His certainty is eroding. The absence that once reassured him now feels ominous. Where is Patton? Why has he not struck? Why has the main Allied force not revealed itself? A chilling realization begins to surface. Slow, painful, resisted at every step. Patton's power may never have been in where he landed. It was in where he didn't. As reports confirm the Allied beachhead is expanding faster than expected, panic seeps through the German command structure. Orders contradict one another. Counterattacks are planned, cancelled, then planned again. Initiative evaporates. Somewhere in the chaos, the truth finally breaks through. Normandy was never the feint. Pas de Calais was the trap, and Patton was the bait. German units at the front begin to feel it. A shift from confusion to fear. The realization that the man they had waited for is not coming, because he never needed to. And when Patton finally does move, it will be too late to stop him. July 1st, 1944. Pas de Calais, northern France. The English Channel lies quiet under a pale summer sky. German artillery crews stand down from their guns, restless and confused. For weeks, they have watched the horizon, waiting for the sea to darken with Allied ships. It never does. Intercept reports are thinner now. Reconnaissance photos show the same camps in England, unchanged. The same tanks, the same trucks, the same general, Patton, still inspecting troops, still giving speeches, still not moving. What once felt reassuring now feels wrong. A German staff officer quietly voices what others are thinking. If Patton was coming, he would already be here. The words hang in the air like a curse. July 3rd, 1944, Wolf's Lair. Hitler receives the latest situation briefing with clenched fists. Normandy has not collapsed. It has expanded. American forces have taken Cherbourg. British and Canadian units are grinding forward east of Caen. The Allies are bringing ashore men and machines faster than Germany can destroy them. Still, Hitler resists the truth. He orders the 15th Army to remain in place. To move them now would mean admitting he was wrong. For Hitler, that is unthinkable. July 10th, 1944. Normandy hedgerows. The fighting is brutal, intimate, exhausting. American infantry advance field by field, hedgerow by hedgerow, learning at terrible cost how to fight in bocage country. German defenders are skilled, experienced, but isolated. Fuel shortages worsen. Ammunition runs low. Replacement troops never arrive. German officers begin to notice something else. The Americans are adapting fast. New tactics appear almost overnight. Tanks are fitted with hedgerow cutters. Infantry and armor coordinate with growing confidence. This is not an army meant to distract. This is an army meant to win. July 14th, 1944. Berlin. A senior intelligence officer submits a revised assessment. Operation Fortitude, he suggests cautiously, may have been a deception on a scale never seen before. Patton's army may not exist. The room goes silent. Hitler dismisses the officer on the spot, but the seed has been planted. July 18th, 1944, Normandy. British forces launch Operation Goodwood east of Caen. Hundreds of tanks surge forward under massive air bombardment. The ground shakes, smoke blots out the horizon. German reserves rush to contain the attack, reserves that should have been available weeks earlier, when the beaches were still vulnerable. Every delay now compounds the damage. July 23, 1944. Pas de Calais. Orders finally arrive. Units are to prepare for possible redeployment south. The wording is hesitant, conditional, too late. By the time the first formations begin moving, Allied aircraft dominate the skies. Roads are death traps. Columns are broken apart before they can concentrate. The army that was meant to stop Patton now struggles just to survive the journey. July 25, 1944. Near St. Lo, Normandy. The ground trembles beneath an overwhelming roar. Operation Cobra begins. Thousands of American bombers carpet-bomb German positions west of St. Lo. The earth itself seems to peel back. Entire units vanish in minutes. Survivors stumble out stunned, deafened, leaderless. Then the armor comes. This is not cautious fighting. This is not attrition. This is breakthrough. German lines rupture. Communications collapse. Panic spreads faster than orders can be issued. And then, finally, a name begins to circulate through German radio intercepts, prisoner interrogations, and frantic staff briefings. Patton, August 1st, 1944. Normandy. General George S. Patton officially takes command of the U.S. Third Army. The ghost has become real. Within hours, his forces surge through the shattered German front. Columns race down open roads. Tanks push deep into the rear. Infantry ride atop vehicles, moving faster than German reports can track. For German commanders, the realization hits like a physical blow. This is what they feared. This is why they waited. And this is why they have already lost. Patton moves exactly as the intelligence reports warned: fast, aggressive, relentless. But now, there is no wall of reserves waiting to stop him. No prepared defense, no second line. Hitler's obsession has bought Patton the one thing he needs most: time. As German units retreat in disorder, some officers finally understand the full scale of the deception. Patton was never meant to land first. He was meant to land last, and when nothing stood in his way. August 3rd, 1944. Avranches, France. Dust clouds rise along the narrow roads as American armored columns pour through the gap at Avranches. Engines roar, tracks grind against pavement. Officers shout over the noise, waving units forward without pause. This is the breakout the Germans feared, and it is unfolding faster than any staff map predicted. Patton stands near a command vehicle, binoculars pressed to his eyes. He does not linger. He never does. "Keep them moving," he snaps. "We don't stop for anything." Behind him, the Third Army fans out like a flood released from a dam. August 4th, 1944. German 7th Army headquarters. Telephones ring unanswered. Radios crackle with fragments of panicked transmissions. Maps are covered with grease pencil arrows that no longer make sense. German units report American armor appearing in places that should be unreachable. Supply columns are ambushed miles behind the front. Headquarters are overrun before evacuation orders can be issued. The words used in reports change. No longer enemy pressure. Now it is enemy breakthrough, then enemy penetration, then simply enemy everywhere. Patton is doing exactly what Hitler feared he would do, but weeks too late to stop him. August 6th, 1944, near Le Mans. American tanks roll through the outskirts of the city as stunned German soldiers surrender in clusters. Many are exhausted. Some are barely armed. They stare in disbelief at the speed of the advance. An Oberst whispers to a captured American officer, "We waited for you in the wrong place." The sentence carries the weight of a campaign lost. August 7th, 1944. Wolf's Lair. Hitler rages. He demands immediate counterattacks. He orders divisions that exist only on paper to strike west. He insists Patton's advance is reckless and overextended, that it can still be crushed. Operation Lüttich is launched near Mortain. It is a gamble born of desperation. August 8th, 1944. Mortain. German armor pushes forward under fog, hoping to catch the Americans off balance. For a moment there is confusion. A hilltop, held by a handful of U.S. infantrymen, becomes the focal point of the battle. They hold. Allied aircraft swarm overhead as the clouds lift. German tanks burn along the roads. The counterattack collapses in days. For German commanders, the truth is now unavoidable. There is no stopping Patton from the front. August 10th, 1944. The Falaise pocket begins to form. Patton's forces drive east, cutting supply lines and escape routes. British and Canadian units push south. German armies are being squeezed into a tightening noose. Desperation spreads through the ranks. Soldiers abandon vehicles. Officers destroy maps and codes. Entire divisions attempt to flee on foot. This is not a retreat. It is a collapse. August 13th, 1944. German Army Group B. Field Marshal Walter Model reports catastrophic losses. He requests permission to withdraw immediately. Hitler refuses, ordering the pocket held open just long enough for a counterstroke that will never come. Patton's columns continue to close the gap. The fear that once kept German armies frozen in Pas de Calais now grips those trapped in Normandy. Patton is no longer a rumor. He is everywhere. August 15th, 1944, near Argentan. Patton stands over a map, aware that the encirclement could be closed completely. His commanders argue. Allies debate coordination. Orders are questioned. The moment hangs in the balance. But the damage is already done. Tens of thousands of German troops are trapped. Equipment litters the countryside. Roads are choked with wreckage. German survivors later describe the same sensation, the sudden understanding that the war in the West has turned irrevocably against them. The general they waited for too long has arrived, and he has arrived unstoppable. August 18th, 1944. The Falaise pocket, Normandy. The stench hits first. Burned fuel, rotting horses, metal twisted by heat and blast. The narrow escape routes east of Falaise are clogged with the remnants of an army, shattered vehicles, abandoned guns, bodies lining the ditches. German soldiers stumble through the chaos, some wounded, some unarmed, all exhausted. American artillery fires methodically. Each barrage seals the pocket tighter. From the air, Allied pilots look down on a scene of annihilation. This is the cost of hesitation. August 20th, 1944. Patton's forward headquarters. Patton studies the latest reports with grim satisfaction. The numbers are staggering. Entire German divisions destroyed or rendered combat ineffective. Thousands of prisoners taken. Equipment losses beyond replacement. Yet he is frustrated. He believes the encirclement could have been closed faster, tighter, more decisively. He slams his riding crop against the table. "We could have bagged the whole damn army," he growls. Still, he knows what this means. Germany's ability to resist in France has been broken. August 21st, 1944. Wolf's Lair. Hitler receives confirmation that the Falaise pocket has collapsed. He says nothing. Witnesses later describe him staring at the map, silent, his hand trembling. The 15th Army, the force held back for Patton's phantom landing, remains largely intact, but strategically useless. It has missed the battle that mattered. The realization finally sets in. Patton was never meant to be stopped at the beaches. He was meant to be unleashed after they fell. August 23rd, 1944. Paris. The city rises in rebellion as Allied forces approach. German garrisons retreat or surrender. Patton's columns bypass strongpoints, racing east, always east, toward the German border. For German troops retreating through France, the pattern is unmistakable. Wherever Patton appears, order dissolves. Communications fail. Rear areas vanish. Fear travels faster than tanks. August 25th, 1944, Berlin. Senior officers quietly acknowledge what Hitler refuses to say aloud. The deception succeeded beyond expectations. Operation Fortitude did not just delay German reserves, it shaped the entire campaign. By the time Patton entered the fight, Germany no longer had the strength to respond. The most dangerous American general had been ignored at the one moment he could have been stopped. And now, there is no stopping him. September 1st, 1944. Near the Moselle River, France. Patton's Third Army reaches the German frontier weeks ahead of schedule. His men are exhausted, low on fuel, but confident. They have chased the enemy hundreds of miles in a matter of weeks. German defenders scramble to form new lines, units thrown together from remnants. Boys and old men fill the ranks. This is not defense. It is improvisation. September 3rd, 1944. Patton's command vehicle. Patton writes in his diary late at night. He reflects on the campaign, on speed, on the enemy's mistakes. He does not gloat. He simply notes that wars are decided not just by strength, but by belief. Hitler believed too strongly in a threat that existed only in his mind. And when that belief finally collapsed, it took an empire with it. The ghost general had done his work. Now the real one was at Germany's door. September 7th, 1944, West Wall, German border. Morning fog hangs low over the rolling hills as American reconnaissance units edge forward. Ahead of them lies the Siegfried Line, concrete dragon's teeth, bunkers half hidden by trees, positions Germany once believed would be impenetrable. German soldiers man the defenses in silence. They have heard the stories. Patton is coming. For months, his name has traveled faster than any tank column. It has passed through POW cages, whispered in shattered headquarters, spoken with dread by officers who survived Normandy. To the men now waiting behind the West Wall, Patton is no longer an intelligence estimate or a deception. He is a reckoning. September 9th, 1944, Third Army Headquarters. Fuel shortages finally slow Patton's advance. Trucks sit idle. Tanks wait with empty fuel tanks. The pursuit pauses not because of German resistance, but because the supply lines are stretched to their breaking point. German commanders seize the opportunity to regroup. New defensive lines are drawn. Orders flow with renewed urgency. But something has changed. Even when Patton is forced to stop, the fear does not. Every German movement assumes he will strike again without warning. Every reserve is held back, every counterattack delayed by the question that now haunts the command structure. What if Patton is already moving somewhere else? Hitler's obsession has become a permanent wound. September 11th, 1944. Berlin. Hitler convenes his generals. He speaks of holding the line, of miracle weapons, of final victory. But his words ring hollow. Maps show the Western Allies deep inside territory once thought secure. The illusion of control is gone. No deception is required anymore. German decisions are now shaped by fear alone, fear of speed, fear of collapse, fear of Patton. September 15th, 1944, near Metz, France. Patton launches assaults against German fortifications, guarding the approaches to the Saar. The fighting is hard, slower than the sweeping advances of August. Rain turns roads to mud. German defenses stiffen. But even here, the psychological damage remains decisive. German units fight without confidence. Orders are followed rigidly, without initiative. The same paralysis that once kept them frozen in Pas de Calais now grips them everywhere. They are always reacting. Patton is always acting. September 18th, 1944. German Army Group G. A staff officer writes in his diary that the Americans seem to know where German units will be before they arrive. He attributes it not to intelligence, but to inevitability. Patton moves faster than our decisions, he writes. By the time we choose, it is already too late. It is a quiet admission of defeat. September 25th, 1944. Third Army Forward Command Post. Patton listens as his officers brief him on German dispositions. He interrupts often, impatient with caution. They're scared, he says bluntly. That's when you hit them hardest. This is the moment Hitler once feared. The moment Patton would exploit weakness without hesitation. The irony is complete. By believing Patton too powerful to face early, Hitler ensured he would face him at his most dangerous. October 1944. Western Front. As autumn settles in, the war grinds on. The front stabilizes temporarily. But beneath the surface, the outcome is no longer in doubt. German units no longer ask if Patton will attack. They ask when. And that question, born months earlier in a deception office in London, continues to shape every German decision. The general who once might not have been real has become unavoidable. And the panic he was meant to inspire has finally, irrevocably, come true.